wrestling news and results and all the rest of the rants, baby. Yeah. All right, we are back. Wrestling Rants on a Monday, and we got a lot of ground to cover. Didn't get in anything on Sunday, was planning a double clothesline day with 2 rants, but as it were, wasn't feeling too hot. I had a second wind of a nasty bug that kind of got me in the gullet a little bit, but feeling much better today. Just kind of adjusted my mask as I'm doing right now and got me better feeling, and here we are with a whole lot of wrestling rants to cover today because we got versus Impact versus Ring of Honor from last week. Very delayed. Apologies for that. And then as well, we got a Lane the Rant Down update on a lot of stuff going on in wrestling. And then to top it all off, we got 2 mega rants on a Monday, which will be dropping this evening on Impact versus New Japan Multiverse United 2, as well as a very excellent show that dropped on Saturday night from the 2300 Arena, the old ECW Arena, let me get the name right, All-Star Junior Festival, which included many high flyers and cruiserweights and junior wrestlers from many promotions across the world. Really going to be a fun mega rant breaking that one down. So that's on tap later on. So we have a fatal 4-way, 4 rants today at Wrestling Rants. So plenty of content dropped today, and then later on in the week we'll hopefully be on schedule for the rest of the rants. And then next week things are going to change up a little bit because I'm heading back to Chicago for about a 6-day vacation. 5 of those nights will include wrestling shows. Dynamite on Wednesday, AAW, and any promotion out of Chicago on Thursday at Front Row Ringside for that one. Friday, GCW, Saturday, Collision, and Sunday, All Out. And of course, even before all of that happens, we are going to have a lot of coverage from All In. That includes previews and predictions, and of course, a mega rant next Monday on All In. So that's looking ahead, what to expect. Also later in the week here, we'll have a top 10 takes, maybe must-see matches, retrospective back on Thursday, and then this one versus I hope to drop on Friday this week, taking a look at Impact versus Ring of Honor, which we are going to do right now. We're going to take a look back at the 17th of August for both shows, Impact and Ring of Honor. We've got a little bit of a handicap situation this week with the shows because Impact show only went about 1 hour 26 minutes, and Ring of Honor went a whopping and bloated 2 hours and 16 minutes of non-stop action. Whew, that was a lot to take in for Ring of Honor this week, that is for sure. Thought Impact was a pretty good watch overall. Let's see where the head-to-head battle ends up. Ring of Honor versus Impact, August 17th. Let's get into it. Let's start with quarter hour 1 now. Before we get into these, let's talk about how I'm doing these quarter hours against each other. We're going to have 6 quarter hours here, but because of the extended time of Ring of Honor this week, Ring of Honor's time was around roughly about 22 minutes of time, where over on Impact we only had about 14 minutes for a quarter hour of content. So, like I said, there's a little bit of a handicap basically here where Impact has 2/3 of the content time per quarter head-to-head here. So keep that in mind as we do some comparisons back and forth on who exactly gets the nod this week. So let's go first into Impact. quarter hour one, kicking off the episode this week once again. Back from Cicero Stadium. We got one more week to go after this week of content from those shows that I was at. And also later on, I think I completely forgot to do this, but there are some spoiler video clips from Impact from last week that I now can drop on the channel. So be looking forward to them probably sometime in between some of these rants tonight. So kicking off Impact, we had Deonna Purrazzo against Kylan King of the Coven. I thought this was pretty good second time around. I thought it was good live. I thought it was even better a second time around, as a matter of fact. Really strong opener. I think Kylan King has really come around and done a great job in Impact in this role with her and Taylor Wilde. Venus DeMilo for the finish, that submission, and Purrazzo against the win. Also, there was a interview in the back with Kenny King talking about his upcoming match with Swinger for the Digital Media Championship at Emergence, which is also this Sunday evening, as a matter of fact. Keep in mind, All In, the big event from London, will here locally, I think, kicks off at about 11 a.m. So Emergence is kind of the show in the evening. We got All In during the day, so a locked and loaded bunch of stuff to talk about for next week. Probably be doing a mega rant on Emergence as well on Monday right after the All In mega rant also. So keep that in mind. Maybe I can even get the mega rant on All In done on Sunday, and then Monday we'll talk about Emergence. We'll see what happens. Also in this quarter hour, we got Santino Marella. He was meeting with a bunch of different workers. Bully Ray, Moose, Brian Myers. Brian Myers was angling for a world title shot against Alex Shelley, which he gets next week. And then as well, Bully Ray was talking about the stuff with PCO. And then Kevin Knight was also in the middle of all this, where Moose challenged Kevin Knight to a match later on in the show, which we'll talk about it when we get there, but it was a hell of a match. Over on Ring of Honor, going into the show, a bit of a change this week. We actually had Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman at ringside, physically there for the content, which was this was a mix of both taped from the previous Collision, which I believe was in somewhere in North Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, perhaps. I can't remember. A week past Saturday. So they were at the broadcast booth doing live commentary. But then as well, there was some additional matches that were filmed, I guess, during Dynamite, maybe about a couple of weeks ago. And that was added into this mix as well. I guess because of the CM Punk situation, they didn't want Christopher Daniels, certain other talent at Collision. Apparently now they're taping Ring of Honor somewhat during Dynamite as well. I don't like this whole thing. I think they need to take care of this shit and deal with it before it gets out of control. But that is a whole other rant for a different time. So kicking off Ring of Honor this week was Gravity over Gringo Loco. Wow. This was probably the best match on the show by far. I really liked this match. Had a decent amount of time, I think 8 or 9 minutes. It was all right, but they were just going with lots of innovative offense, including some spots I have literally never seen. There was one spot where Gravity was hanging on the top rope and Gringo Loco was outside, and he actually was kind of sitting on the top rope, and he just elevated himself over the ring top rope and over that ring post, and then pulled a Hurricane Rana on Gringo Loco on the floor. That was really impressive. Also in this quarter hour, we had another match added. That was Josh Woods over Silas Young. They brought back this program a little bit from this episode. They talked about the history with these guys. And interesting to note that Josh Woods basically cheated to win this match and had a sick finish, which I think he's starting to implement more, which is like a twisting suplex into the turnbuckles. Just a really cool and brutal looking finish at that. This was a pure rules match as well. So what Josh Woods did was he did a closed fist spot, which they get one warning on, and that helped him get the advantage over Silas Young and got the win with that finish I just talked about. Quarter hour one, I'm going to actually go Ring of Honor on this one. I thought both matches in the quarter hour were pretty excellent, but to Impact's side as well, I thought the Deonna Purrazzo match with Kylan King was also very strong. Let's roll back to Impact for quarter hour two. Killer Kelly won a three-way match with Savannah Evans and Jessica. Not a whole lot to this match. Also, there was a Dirty Dango vignette talking about his heat with Jake something. Really could not get into these Dirty Dango vignettes. Is anybody really into this shit? I sure am not. Over on Ring of Honor, Maria interrupted a promo with Layla Hirsch, or Layla actually interrupted a promo with Maria, asking the question, what advantage does she have by having Maria courting her, etc., etc. So there's a little bit of heat going on there, but Maria's continuing to scout and court her as well as Cole Carter. Athena won a quick match over Brittany J, and then there was a long storyline that kept popping up on this show relating to Billy Starks and the Renegade Twins, or the Renegade Sisters. So the Renegade Sisters came out after this match and attacked Athena, and then Billy Starks made the save, and then Athena kind of blew her off after she made the save. So plenty of more storyline to come on this episode with these two. In fact, even this quarter hour, later on in the quarter hour, after a match which was very odd, Samoa Joe and Stokely Hathaway over Dalton Castle's Boys, which is pretty much a squash, more or less. Samoa Joe dominating this one. But then we rolled back to Billy Starks in an interview where the Renegades approached Billy Starks, got in her face. Athena once again got in the middle of this one. This was a promo in the back. Obviously, they're setting something up, which next week apparently we're going to see a tag match with all these usual suspects. Quarter number two, I'm probably going to go... I got to go Ring of Honor again on this one. The Athena match, the Stokely Hathaway Joe match was relatively entertaining. Quarter hour three, Moose went over Kevin Knight, and damn, this match was awesome. This was just as good the second time around. Being there live, the crowd was electric for this match once they started feeling Kevin Knight's momentum. And boy, this was one of the better matches I've ever seen Kevin Knight have. He's had a hell of a week between this match getting dropped on Impact and then his performance at the All-Star Junior Festival, which we'll talk about in a mega rant later. Just a great week for Kevin Knight. Really elevated himself in these matches. He lost this match, but I would argue he came off looking more like a star in this match than even Moose did. Moose essentially beat the shit out of him. Kevin Knight started making a comeback. Lots of good near falls. And then finally didn't make it. But very close to beat Moose in this match. Also, we had an interview in the back with the Rascals. ABC got involved in the interview. Wanted to get in the Rascals' face, accusing them of paying off the Good Hands. Costing them that match last week in this little mini tournament, tag title contender match. Santino got involved in this. Basically said, ABC got your match next week with Good Hands. Over on Ring of Honor, we had the Gates of Agony over Christopher Daniels and Matt Seidel. This was the start of a Ring of Honor airing from a different location. This was where they taped Dynamite a few weeks ago. Also, Madison Rayne went over Danny Moe. and the Dark Order went over Isaiah Broner, Lord Crew, and Corey Calhoun. I have not heard any of those guys. It was a quick squash. I mean, you can tell in 22 minutes of time, folks, we had 3 matches on Ring of Honor. That's just going to show the rapid pace of some of this stuff on Ring of Honor. I think counting it, there was like 17 matches on Ring of Honor this week. Just way excessive. I'm going to definitely give Impact a nod on that quarter hour with the Moose and Kevin Knight match. That was straight fire. Quarter hour 4 on Impact, we had Eric Young over Big Con by DQ when Diener interfered with a chair. He laid out Eric Young with a DDT on the chair as well, and then actually sat on top of Eric Young. Joe Henry and Yuya Yamura did a really fun music video kind of thing. Very catchy song. Check it out if you haven't had a chance. And then also in this quarter hour, they showed another profile on Crazy Steve. This one was a little uncomfortable as he talked about family abuse. Just kind of not good, in the death of his mother, which apparently occurred right before he got an Impact contract. Just really kind of sad stuff and true. Who knows if it's all true or not. I kind of feel like this is going to lead to like Crazy Steve really playing upon that crazy persona, making up stuff. We'll see where they go with it. Over on Ring of Honor for quarter hour 4, we had a really long-winded promo in the back by Claudio Castagnoli. I can see why back in WWE there was some issues with his promo style, because he cut a promo here that just went on and on and on. It was not engaging. It did not flow well. It was not good. It was not good. Also, Cole Carter went over Griff Garrison. Maria was scouting once again here. Billy Starks went over Charlotte Renegade. Again, rolling back to the storyline, Athena showed back up and made the save for Billy Starks after both Renegades attacked Billy Starks after the match. And then Athena called Billy her minion to follow her to the back. And Billy Starks was confused and kind of weirded out by the whole experience. Also in this quarter hour, Tony Nese and Arya Daivari cut a promo where they basically said they're going to once again get a workout from the entire crowd on this show later. Boy, this was a tough quarter hour because honestly on each quarter hour, I really couldn't get into much of either's things. I am going to just go Ring of Honor just because I did like the throughout the show, the storyline with Billy Starks, Athena, and the Renegade Twins. I thought that was cool. At least they were consistent and had something going down that they kept rolling back to in this episode. Quarter hour 5, we go to Impact, and Bully Ray went over Black Taurus in a no disqualification match that I didn't really like this the first time around. The second time around, I thought maybe with some edits that Impact did, I thought this was pretty good. There was a few botchy spots live, and they seemed to clean that up in the post-edit. So there was that. Just to know, Black Taurus, I think, got pretty severely injured at the finish spot where he landed back first right on the ladder. And I remember him rolling out of the ring, and he was hurt. He actually took his mask off in front of us, and yeah, he was definitely hurt for certain. I'm going to be dropping a video of that finish, actually, so you can check it out. You can see how he was handling things at ringside as well after the finish. I'll be dropping that shortly tonight. Also, Eddie Edwards had an interview in the back where Kazarian interrupted, apologized for the situation where he accidentally pinned Alicia Edwards. It appears that these guys are once again going to have another match, and I don't know if it's at Emergence. I don't believe it is. I think it's at 1,000th episode of Impact in White Plains, New York. I think. Don't quote me on that, but it's coming up down the pipeline for sure. Over on Ring of Honor, we had a lot of short matches once again. Action Andretti, Lee Johnson, and Darius Martin went over Lee Moriarty and the Workhorsemen, which was alright. Had another promo in the back with Athena and Billy Starks, where essentially they challenged the Renegades next week. Lady Frost went over Trish Adora. Kiera Hogan did a promo. And as well in this quarter hour, a lot of stuff. Layla Hirsch went over Rachel Ellering. I will give Impact a nod on this one. I did like that no disqualification match with Bully Ray and Black Taurus there. Then we get to the final quarter hours, including the main events for each show. Impact had the runners, where they showed everything coming up next week. They showed everything for Emergence, etc., etc. Some notes from these runners. The Dudleys will be at the 1000th Impact episode from White Plains, New York. Devon Dudley is in for that. As well as at Emergence, the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Sonata will be on that show against Jake something. They announced that. Main event time, Rascals got the tag title shot at Emergence against Subculture with a win over Sami Callihan and Rich Swann. That I really liked this match. I thought this was right behind the Bailey and Kushida match, the Moose and Kevin Knight match from Chicago. This was probably number 3 of the best matches at that Impact two-night taping in Chicago. Rascals get that title shot to take on Subculture at Emergence. Over at Ring of Honor, to finish off the show, we had a couple matches of note. Dalton Castle went over Pretty Peter Avalon. Shane Taylor cut a promo on his upcoming match with Samoa Joe for the Ring of Honor television title, I would guess. I'm just speculating. They haven't said anything on this, but I'm betting this match is going to happen sometime in Chicago, if not at All Out. Maybe at the Collision taping the night before or something. This is on its way. Then we had the presumed main event, I guess, which was Metal League over Tony Nese. These guys have a history from 205 Live, if you recall, back in the day in WWE. Jerry Lynn also interrupted the beginning of this whole situation because Nese was trying to do the workout instructions with the crowd, and Jerry Lynn had none of it. He said, "You're not doing that anymore. Instead, you're taking on Metal League." Match was fine, if not kind of quick. Metal League went over Nese in this one. I'm going to give Impact a nod on the final quarter hour. I thought their main event was way, way better than Metal League and Tony Nese on Ring of Honor. So, looking back at 6 quarter hours, folks, we have a deadlock tie this week for versus Impact versus Ring of Honor from the August 17th show. A deadlock tie. I personally would probably, I feel like I enjoyed Impact a lot more than Ring of Honor this week because of that runtime. Ring of Honor at 2 hours and 16 minutes. We just don't need that much stuff on one show. I think Ring of Honor should always make a point to only do an hour and a half of content each week. It would help a lot in terms of the enjoyment of the show. All right, laying the rant down, we got some record-breaking news to talk about next as part of Laying the Rant Down. So stay tuned. Stay with me here tonight at Wrestling Rants because we got a fatal 4-way rant situation. This one, laying the rant down, and then 2 mega rants from the weekend. The All-Star Junior Festival, as well as Multiverse United 2. Both events came from the ECW Arena in Philadelphia. Come on back, laying the rant down, coming up next, right here at Wrestling Rants.